Hello and welcome to Coffee and Cleavage.
Welcome, everybody.
I'm Lynnie.
And I'm Shantal.
And hello, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, ladies. How you doing?
Great.
Really good.
Caffeinated?
Mm-hmm. Caffeinated and proteined up.
I like the cups. They're cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Coffee and Cleavage. I know.
Did you see, I saw somebody recently post someone I think we both follow with, a boob cup. And I was like, I wonder what that would be like.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was just, boobs. So I'm like, would we get censored for that if we just had a cup
I
with
don't think
boobs?
so. We should we could cheers them and be a pair. That's funny.
And then we could just put this logo under, on the torso part of the cup. I was thinking about that.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be funny.
I like that. Oh, man. Let's see here. So, today we are going to talk about sexless relationships.
Why she doesn't want to have sex with you.
That just sounds sad.
Okay, well, I think that this is a reality in all relationships. Not saying that all relationships are sexless by any means, but where you have a downturn, and he's like, why doesn't she want to have sex with me? Why isn't she wanting to have sex as much as I want to have sex?
Mhm.
Could be a libido thing, could be timing,
Yeah.
could be something going on in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that every relationship has to have that at least at some time during the relationship. I think it's pretty normal.
Is this
Yeah.
strictly she doesn't want to have sex with you? Or
Well, I mean, what could be the causes? I guess it's just diving into what could be the causes of her not wanting to have sex.
what about if they don't want to have sex with her?
Yeah, I mean, that's a not exactly this episode, but that's an angle too. I mean, it
Couldn't it
happens.
go
It
both
happens both ways.
though?
Yeah. No, it definitely does happen both ways. But I think that often, I'm not saying always, but often I do feel like women kind of hold the keys to sex in a relationship. And I don't know, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but
Yes, you guys do.
but I do think it's a thing. Because the reality is that as a guy, you can have sex anytime. And I'm not saying you always want to, but most of the time, I would go out on a limb and say almost all the time you'd be ready to have sex. And women are just, I don't know, we are just a little bit more
Mhm.
intricate, and we are very in our heads.
Yes.
And that affects us wanting to have sex.
Mhm.
And there's just a lot more things that have to happen to get to that desire. Whereas
Do you think that's why everyone always says, well, some people say guys are more horny than girls? Because it seems like they just think about sex and want sex all day long, where girls don't, but some girls actually do.
I think that could be a little bit of a misconception.
Mhm.
But I think that at the same time, yeah, men are probably not like, oh my God, I have to do the fucking dishes. I need to clean the house. I need to do all these things. I can't stop for 5 minutes and have sex. The guy's not thinking about the fucking dirty house or the dishes. He's just thinking about having sex right then, you
Yeah.
know? Whereas
Yeah.
we could be
Yeah.
more overwhelmed in our thoughts to get to wanting to have sex.
Yeah. Definitely. I think a good way, and this can go either way, but I think a good way is you just made a good example of doing the dishes and being all like, "Oh my God, a million things to do." Let's just say if a guy says, "You know what? Don't worry about it. I'll take this over." And then maybe they'll fuck you in the kitchen. And then
Yeah.
they finish taking over the dishes.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, that is actually one of the number one things. I was reading this study, and it was reasons why women don't want to have sex. And the very top of the list was feeling responsible for doing all of the household duties. So it's almost like a little bit of a resentment that you don't necessarily know. You're not purposely being like, "Ugh, I don't want to have sex because you don't do any house chores." But it's it's like an extra thing that's ugh.
Well, because I feel like so many guys would be like, let's just fuck. Don't worry, those will still be there, and you can do them after.
That's fucked up. That's messed
You can
Then you
do
can
the
do the
dishes
laundry after that
anytime.
too. It's like it'll still be there. It's fine.
Yeah. But it's one of the number top things that women, feel frustrated about
Yeah.
is that they don't feel that their partner is contributing to the household.
Well, guys, if you want her to have sex more, pick up on some of that shit.
Yeah, just at least pull your own weight. It doesn't mean you have to do
help
everything.
out. Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
make a dent.
definitely.
Another thing is just, you know, feeling like it's an obligation,
Mm.
like feeling like, okay, like I know we've talked about this before where the guy's just like, okay, I want to have sex now. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, when there's like
Like
no romance or
there's
anything, it's like,
nothing.
you want to
Yeah.
fuck tonight? It's like, okay. I
Yeah.
mean, do you think one of them would be, I mean, it's too scheduled and stuff like that, where it's like you kind of get into the same thing and it's almost becomes
You're
boring,
bored.
where you're
Yep.
just like,
I feel like we
take
got
it or
an
leave
Unsatisfied.
it.
email about this.
Mhm.
Remember? It was that guy that said, you ladies make it seem like it's so easy where I don't remember what it was
Yeah.
exactly, but he
Mhm.
said in real life day to day, when you're struggling or when I don't remember the email, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he was just alluding to the fact that, like, it's not that simple, it's not that
Yeah.
easy. Gets home, both people are exhausted,
Yes.
they don't
Yeah.
even wanna try,
Yeah.
and it's like, "Okay." But
I mean, I look at it like, unless you're literally never seeing each other, there should be no fucking excuse. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, there should be, because that should be the number one thing in your relationship that you need to kind of do, I think. I mean, it keeps it like you fucking need to have
I
sex.
Yeah,
agree.
you do.
Definitely.
It's a
It's important.
connection.
Yeah.
It's a connection, and when you're not having sex, and you're not connecting with each other, you're going to drift apart. You're
Yeah.
going to resent each other. You're not gonna wanna have sex with each other, and then pretty soon you're not gonna wanna be together at all because what's the point?
Well, it's like
Mhm.
everything. When you
You're
slowly
just like
kind of
roommates
yeah,
then.
when you
Yeah.
slowly stop doing it, then it gets easier to not do it. But then when you do it more, then it gets more easier to do it. And you're never gonna regret like, God damn it, we're so tired. We fucked last night. It's like you're gonna be like, it's like going to the gym. You're gonna be
Yes.
like, okay, that was fucking good. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Definitely.
Unless the sex you're having is bad. And if the sex you're having is bad, then you need to find the root of that and find a solution for that instead of
Yeah.
just avoiding it. Because a lot of people do avoid sex when they're, not enjoying it. Maybe he's not, and I'm not saying this is always him, but I'm just saying in this example, maybe he's not interested in her pleasure.
Just sticking it in
Maybe
dry.
maybe it's just about
So
him
that's
getting off. And why would she want to have sex if there's nothing more to it than just sex?
yeah,
You have to be open and communicate what you both want out of your sexual relationship if you're unsatisfied.
definitely.
Just
Speak up.
simply staying unsatisfied and not having sex, just what's the point of that either?
Well, can't you tell when someone actually gives a shit and you can tell when someone doesn't give a shit? I mean, and when they're given the vibe that they don't really care, then you're gonna be like, well, fuck, I don't care either then. It's like, you wanna just get this over with. Let's like not do it or just get it over with. It's like
Yeah.
one person cares, then it's like, okay, they care, so I want to care too. It's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, that just sounds awful when someone doesn't give a shit, then it's like forced. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I know. I don't think anything should be forced, but I do
Mm.
think you have to talk about it. And the only way forward is to just slowly start having more sex. And it doesn't necessarily just mean sex, like having a sexual relationship, doing sexual things, even if you're not having sex, laughing
Mhm.
together,
Just
enjoying each other,
reconnecting.
reconnecting,
Yeah,
and once you reconnect, then I feel like the sex will come naturally.
definitely.
Versus being like, "Okay, we gotta fix this. It's time
Yeah.
for us to fuck." It's like, "Wait, hold on, wait a second."
Yeah.
That's part of the problem.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna do another movie reference. Just like, I don't know why, it just reminded me. So have you ever seen Hall Pass?
Yes.
Okay, like you seen that? Remember that part where he like helps her with everything? Like, hey, I'm gonna put the kids down. Like, you do this, and they finally get in bed, and he like gets in there, and she acts like she's asleep, and she's not. And he's like, oh my god, you're asleep. I mean, what do you think like would make someone in that situation do that? Where they would like he helps with everything too, and it's like, I'm gonna act like I'm asleep.
Just to avoid
I
having
think
Yeah.
sex.
avoidance, which could be actually, I think this might be the number one, not the one I said earlier, is tired. A lot of people don't have sex because 'cause they're tired. So it's one, she's tired emotionally.
Pretending to sleep.
She wasn't tired though.
Yeah, she was fake sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe she was tired, but she wanted him to just, like, leave her alone so she can go to bed. This type of scenario. But I would say more likely is that she wasn't connected to him
Yeah.
emotionally. Even though
Yeah.
he was doing all those things and trying to be helpful and, cleaning the house and taking care of the kids, they weren't emotionally connected.
It's true. When you're not emotionally connected, you do not wanna have sex with a person.
No, there's
But that's
no
usually when you're
desire.
having problems, you know?
Yeah.
So, my next question's gonna be, do I
Okay.
even need to ask?
Oh, actually, I think you do because I'm not in sync right this second.
Have you guys ever done that?
What, not had sex or been disconnected?
No, acted like you were asleep when
Oh,
someone wants to have
no. I've
Oh,
never
sex.
done
no.
that. No.
No, I've never
No.
faked sleeping.
No, that's fucked up.
I didn't
Kinda
know that was the
funny,
next
but
question
it's
you were gonna
fucked up.
ask.
I didn't either.
What would you do if you had not had sex for a year with your partner? First of
Whoa.
all, would you even make it to a year?
Yeah. A year?
Yeah, that was
At that you're definitely roommates at that
yeah,
point.
definitely roommates.
I feel like if you're
Yeah.
not having sex for a year when you're in a relationship, you're gonna be like barely kissing in one day. It is like your roommates. I
Yeah.
mean,
Or
it's like
like
you're
a
just like
friendship,
Yeah,
partnership.
Mhm.
you're not, like,
It's
sexually connected, yeah.
it's
well,
so
there's
Mm-mm.
no
it
intimacy. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
you're gonna just kind of be like, all right, well, I'm leaving. See ya. It's like you're like friends. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Friends with 0 benefits.
Yeah.
Except for maybe sharing the same bed and maybe sharing an income
And the bills.
and the bills.
Fucking cool.
Damn, that just sounds
It
shitty.
I saw this study that said that 30% of couples who've been together for 2 or more years do not have sex. So that there are, like, this large amount of couples not having sex and that are just okay with it. Like, they've gotten to the point where they're like, "Okay, we're together, but we're not having sex." And I wonder if that's financial. Do
Hmm.
you think that that would be tied back to a financial or a family dynamic? Like, they have kids and they're like, "Okay, we're just gonna stay together. We're not having sex."
I think that happens a good amount of times, but I feel like they just get sick of each other probably. It's kind of like whatever, it's the same shit. So,
Yeah.
how long did you say they were together?
2 years or more.
Do you think
30%, that's a lot.
do you think that's because people get like
Comfortable?
very comfortable and they just kind of are like, I mean, I already have you. I don't really want to try. And like, let's be real. A lot of people kind of, when they're married, like a little bit let themselves go. And they're just like, well, I already have you. So I don't really give a shit. I'm not going to whine and dine. You already have you.
That's so
So
fucked
fucked
up.
up.
Like, I mean, that's
Oh
what
my
happens
god.
though.
Just
You
wait
know?
That's
until
a problem.
yeah, wait until somebody comes and sweeps up your
Yeah.
hot dime of a wife and
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like when people are married too, they're like, that's who I'm with forever. It's like they're stuck in this, which they don't realize. I mean, not
He
necessarily.
makes it all sound so terrible.
it does sound fucking
God, Gary.
terrible.
Reasons to not get married.
I think it's so much of a psychological thing
Ah.
of how some people think that things need to be or think how they are. Because when they were dating, they were probably dating and going on dates and doing things. But then, yeah, they're like, okay, well, we're together now. But I think it all comes down to habits. Like you were saying, going to the gym. I think having a relationship is like going to the gym every day. Like
Yeah,
you
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 always work at it,
yeah, you
you
work at
know?
it, you check in, you have
Make
sex,
an
you
effort.
maintain the connection.
Yes.
And when you get out of that habit and you start not doing those things, that's just where it falls apart.
Yep.
I
Girl
think
part.
one thing I've like learned too. I mean, is like I feel like so much more shit would be solved if people just would like speak up and
Yes.
not
Yes.
just
Amen.
be like, well, I would like to say something, but I'll just like hold it in and
Mhm.
be resentful as shit.
Mm-mm.
It's like speak the fuck up, you
Yeah.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, for
Say
sure.
say what's on your mind,
Mhm.
communicate, even if it's awkward, even if it's uncomfortable, like fuck, what do you have to lose? Are you rather going to be miserable
Yeah.
or talk? Like that just really like dumbs it down, like how simple it is. To
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about something or be fucking angry or resentful. Like fuck, But
Mhm.
I've done it in the past where I just swallowed everything down. Didn't say anything, didn't want to cause conflict. Wanted just to keep everything, nice. But the reality is it wasn't nice.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
inside I was hurt and upset and felt like I didn't have a voice, but I wasn't using my voice.
Well, just builds resentment, I think, too, which is the worst thing you can do.
That's the worst thing in a relationship is having resentment for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is definitely important to communicate, speak up, even if they don't like what you have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Mhm.
it's interesting, like, on a larger scale, like, why sex overall is people are having less sex. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen studies about that where they're saying that generationally, current generation, which would be what, Gen Z, so a generation younger than us, are having less sex than we did or our
That's
parents did.
interesting.
I mean, it makes sense to me
Yeah.
We're
because,
lazy?
well,
Just kidding, sorry.
I mean, a little
My
bit,
our ratings just went down. No, just kidding.
but
Gen Z's not listening.
think about Gen Z when they were like, okay, a lot of them were like
I'm just thinking my
younger.
brother.
Yeah, when they were during COVID, so they learned to like stay inside.
Yeah.
Everything they could do at home. So now they do everything at home, and a lot of them are just like, well, I just stay at home a lot. They don't go out and do shit a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're being almost programmed to do. You don't
Yeah.
have to leave your house.
That's why I was literally thinking my brother, the Gen Z, where you can just, order food on your phone. You can literally you
You
don't
don't
have
have
to
to leave.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a social
You
life.
Yeah.
you could just go on dating apps and look on there, and then you
I
could
mean,
be like,
our age and older than us do that too,
Yeah.
but it makes sense, especially when you take the technology standpoint in it too. Like, they're on their phones, they're on their computers, they're on their even when they're with people, what are they doing?
Mhm. Yep.
They're on their devices together
Yeah.
instead of having sex. And they're also having less partners as well, which is interesting. I don't necessarily know that that's a bad thing that they're having less partners, but it's very interesting. And this was before COVID too. All the studies show that like a decade before COVID, sex was already on a decline, which is
that's
interesting.
That is
depressing.
Let's
interesting.
take it
That's
back to
I'm
2011.
with
What
you
was
there. It's
going on with
depressing.
2011? Like, it said from 2011, it was at 23% of young adults who reported having two or more sexual partners, and by 2021 it was 10%. So it's like, what was going on? Just more internet, more more video games. Now we have AI, like,
God.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
But on a broader sense, like, we're also having less as a society and as a world, having like less children. We're having more high achieving women. Um, we're having more alpha women. So I guess it all kind of just makes sense with the time and place of why people are having less sex. If women are less interested in having children and less interested in that, maybe they're not seeking as many partners. They're focusing on school or career, other things.
Mm.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
There's like so many
Yeah.
factors. I don't know. It's a tad skewed.
Yeah. Definitely. That's interesting though.
I don't know, why are people not having more sex? It
I
reminds me
just
of a movie I just watched recently. Did you guys watch that? What's her name? Jennifer. That was a Netflix movie. It was her first Netflix movie. What is her name? And it's about this. I'll just say the plot, but it's about these parents who their son is like a virgin and he's about to go off to college, and so they hire this girl. They were hoping to hire like a girl who's in her 20s, but she's supposed to be like in her 30s to have sex with their son so that he's experienced before
Oh
college.
my
The
God, that's
fuck?
hilarious.
And she like walks into the room. Um, she walks into the room and he's like on his phone or whatever, sitting on his bed. And she thought she was gonna be like walking in on people having sex, but they're just sitting on their phones at the end of the bed. And she's like, why the fuck is nobody fucking? And it totally reminds me of that. God, I can't remember what that movie is called.
That's funny.
But it's like, I mean, that's kind of the reality of it. I'm like, that sums it up.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
I think a lot more people are just not wanting to get out there and be like, I don't want to have social interaction. It's easier to just sit at home. That's like what I see. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, because it's like, why would I want to go out and like risk, maybe getting shut down and maybe this girl not liking me? So I just like, we'll just watch porn instead. Like that's kind of taken off way too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It was called No Hard Feelings. I don't know why I was having a hard time remembering the name of it.
That's funny. I have to look that one up.
Yeah, I have to watch it.
Yeah.
But I guess going back to our main topic about sexless
I think it's important in a
relationships.
relationship for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the main thing, if you're not having sex in a relationship, I guess the thing you guys would recommend is you should be talking about that and why,
Yeah,
because
for
that's a
sure.
huge issue.
That's huge, yeah.
I mean, unless you're just both celibate and you don't want to have sex, then
Yeah.
cool. But
Yeah.
I personally think sex should be like almost number one important thing in a relationship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you have to, like that's the only goal. Like, do all the things around that lead to sex, like spend more time together,
Mhm.
like laugh together, like make date nights,
Make
like,
date nights, that's
like
huge, yeah.
wine
Well,
and dine her, listen to her sexual needs, like find out what she wants to try, like just
maybe people need to
spice it up.
start looking at having sex with your partner like it is going to the gym. You're never going to regret that you went to the gym. You're
Mhm.
never
Yeah.
going to regret like having sex with your wife or your
Mhm.
girlfriend or something. It's like it's just like it reminds me of the same thing. You're never going to regret going to the gym. Like, damn it, why'd I go to the gym and work out today? It's like you're never going to say that. And that's how I look at that too. It's like you should always be putting that where you're doing that, making time for it.
Yeah, I agree. I always say
Yeah.
that about sex, therapy, and the gym. They're all like similar, like you do it and sometimes you don't want to do it. I guess this kind of applies more to like the gym and therapy, but you just always feel really good
Yeah.
afterwards,
Yeah.
So, amen to that.
Yep, yep.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully,
Yes,
this was
thank you.
enlightening. Don't
Right.
forget to submit your questions and stories to coffeeandcleavage.com.
And rate us, please.
5 stars.
Cheers.
Cheers.